Hi, I'm Haresh.
And Terrence from Ministry of Funny.
And you are listening to
Do Not Clique.
Yeah, I'm dealing with two professionals. Like, it's the first time I'm actually talking to podcasters.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, there are not many podcasters in Singapore, I guess.
But now it's growing. So every few weeks, I come across some new thing.
Yeah, I know
Nathan Hartono.
I know
Yeah,
Nathan and his friend has one. And then a couple of guys who added me on Instagram as well
There's also the last king or something.
in Singapore.
Yeah. Then there used to be Misfits, which I don't think is done anymore.
Andy Chen.
Andy Chen podcast.
That's his podcast.
Most of them, the podcast is it like having a conversation amongst themselves or they?
I think the last king is amongst themselves. So it's 3 guests. Nathan Hartono also sometimes is amongst
Occasionally,
themselves.
yes.
Sometimes a guest.
Yeah.
Andy Chen, there's always a guest.
Yeah, but for you guys, doing something similar to what I'm doing, right? Like you're having
Having a guest.
basically trying to kill my market.
No, it's like you said earlier before this was that it's therapeutic.
Therapeutic.
Like when we do our videos and everything, again, it's a lot of different moving parts on it. When you do a podcast, you're really just sitting down and talking to someone for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And that's something very rare today.
Right, we are at podcast number 23. Ooh.
23.
And this actually is funny because you guys are what actually prompted me to do a first 3-man podcast.
Oh, serious?
Oh,
because
really?
the problem with my podcast is there's no video. So
Yeah.
if there's too many people, then it's gonna get a bit too chaotic because we have people talking over each other.
Yeah,
So to
that
me,
is true.
yeah, my limit is actually 3 I guess for me because I'm doing a videoless podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, after I approached you guys, I had Lepak One Corner.
Oh, yeah.
So they were my first 3-man podcast.
Oh, I see.
yeah.
They're still doing videos, right?
Well, they both have full-time jobs. Something like me, they at the side, whenever they have time. But it's not as active as back then, I guess. They are booming stage. But they do try because their fans crave for their product.
Yeah,
You
because
see?
I came across it through our teammate at Idris, and wow, I thought you were hilarious, man.
Yeah, they
Yeah, the funniest
it's
shit.
funny as shit. Yeah,
Can I swear on this?
Yeah, you can.
Okay,
No, don't worry. You can. Basically, Haresh and Terrence, both of you has considered the boss of Ministry of Funny, or you guys are labeled as co-founder, right?
Yeah, co-founder.
But who initially initiated Ministry of Funny?
We started out just doing it with a bunch of friends. I think the name was something we later just like thought of and just came up.
Actually, I think it was you who came up with the name, right?
Actually, I don't even think it was me. I think it was like Philip. This shout out to our friend Philip.
Philip.
Yeah, but he's a very funny stand-up. I mean, he did stand-up comedy back in school and everything. And then after some discussion, we thought about this name. Just because it's so, in Singapore, everything's a ministry of this, ministry of that.
Yeah.
So we just thought, okay, what do we want to call it then?
It's catchy
And it's also to poke fun at the establishment.
Yeah.
But I must give credit to Terrence because we were talking about doing MOF for a long time, but I think you kind of pushed for that one night, when we filmed our first video. Yeah, where 6 of us came together, me, my cousin, and 5 of us, 3 of our friends. So Terrence kind of pushed for that to happen, which was a good thing, because it's very easy to procrastinate on this kind of thing.
Yeah. It's always like, let's do this, But until you actually start doing the product or the execution, it's just gonna get delayed and delayed.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so easy to have this idea of doing your own thing and then just do nothing.
When I wanted to do the podcast, I just went ahead and I just bought the stuff. Bought the mic, bought the Zoom. Until then, I've actually spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars, so there's no reason for me to not.
Actually, that's a good idea. I think that's why people sign up for gym memberships also.
Yeah.
You pay a shitload of money, then you feel like you don't want to waste it.
Speaking of that, in my gym, there was a guy who paid a full year. He turned out once, and the rest of the year he didn't turn up. So there are people like that, so yes.
That's me and yoga. That happened to me. I signed up for a yoga package.
Every January, right?
man.
Every January.
Every January. No.
New Year's resolution.
This was like I went with my cousin or something, and then I felt, wow, this is amazing. I nearly died in the first session. And then,
when was that?
4 or 5 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
And then I signed up for like 20 sessions. And then I never turned up for a single one.
But why yoga though? Is it because it's the in thing now or something?
Yeah, 5 years ago.
5 years ago, yeah. And then when you go for your first session, this is hot yoga. So it's like one of those things where you really feel like you nearly die. And then I think when you survive after that, you feel like, oh, wow, that really pushed me to my limits. And then you're supposed to go back every week after that and feel better. But I never got to that part of actually going every week.
So you sign up for the 20 after the session or the before?
After the first session, yeah. Then
you were on a high.
You're on a
right?
high, and then you're like you nearly fainted and everything. Then they talk to you, and then you feel like I can do this, I can do this. And then the next thing you know, like after work, then you're like, oh, should I go and cook myself in a 35-degree Celsius room for like 1 hour?
But 5 years ago, it wasn't that in, right? It was still kind of like
it was Bikram yoga, so it was like they had pictures of that dude,
Mr. Bikram.
yeah, Mr. Bikram himself all over.
But now everybody's starting like yoga and co and stuff like that.
Everyone is like, I mean, I guess stuff like just on Instagram, you see how many people are aspiring yoga practitioners, which I mean, kudos to them for figuring out something they want to do and pursue it. But yeah, it's all over the place.
I know there's like beer yoga, cat yoga.
Man. Oh, I haven't seen cat yoga.
There's one of my guests, Joey Tan. She said she does yoga with a cat. So when I did the podcast with her, is it cat or dog? I can't remember. Maybe it's a dog.
Yeah.
And but it's essentially basically like doing some poses and then like putting the
Cat
pet
on top,
animal, on top of you or something like that. So
I wonder how
it's pretty cool, I guess.
I don't know what the cat thinks about that though. Like, it's
Yoga.
Did he get consent from the cat?
Yeah.
No, in fact, I think Teh Tarik yoga would be the great
Oh
thing.
man, take the yoga.
Because you think about it, there's so much. I mean, plus the sound of the liquid, the bubbles, and all.
And the stretching can implement, I guess.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, you should initiate
Teh
that.
Tarik yoga.
Teh Tarik yoga. That could be a video idea, for your channel.
I remember that beer yoga video was going viral as shit.
But it's not real though.
Is it?
It wasn't real. It
Oh, I
was
thought
a
it's
parody.
real.
It was a parody.
No, I thought I saw the nugget
Nugget.
one.
Oh, yeah.
Nugget was a
Nugget
parody.
ones.
The beer is a real
Nugget
thing.
yoga.
Nugget yoga.
And then I think it's originated from Hindu
Yoga, is it?
Yoga. So
Yeah.
And then some yoga purists coming out and shaming like, this is becoming too mainstream. The idea of yoga is disappearing.
Yeah, correct.
But I guess it's people is actually taking the like yoga as a form of exercise, you know, to lose weight. So,
but you mean you don't do yoga because you look like very fit and everything. So
I do a bit of boxing, but a lot of my friends do yoga. But I got dislocated shoulders and all that. So
yoga would be helpful for that. Right?
Is it?
Yeah, isn't it meant to solve those problems?
problems?
Have you tried before?
Yoga, no, not
Dude,
yet.
you should try it, man.
You should try.
Why do you not try it though? Is it like an image thing or?
It was just never a big thing for me, like it was like never a priority. So I mean, like, nothing against yoga or whatever, but it was just never. I have to do this. There was just other more important things for me to do in my life.
But it really is a quite scary thing. The first yoga session you go to,
because they want hot yoga, lah.
Yeah, and everyone is like dressed like basically almost like stripped bare, and everyone's bodies looks damn good. Then you are at the back of the classroom and you're trying to do the move, and then the instructor has a microphone. They're like, "Oh, Terrence, bend down, lower,
serious?
lower." Yeah,
What the
and so everyone can know that you are holding up the whole class because you can't do that move.
Oh, speaking of this, there's this current yoga pose. A lot of girls are trying to mimic.
I think
where their heads and hands on the floor, so basically they are upside down. They are trying to using their core muscles to lift their legs, above their body.
But it's a headstand, lah, right?
Yeah, it's headstand, essentially.
Headstand.
Headstand with your hands as the.
It's a new thing.
It's a trend.
Yeah, it's a trend. But I guess that's like if you are able to achieve that seamlessly, I guess you are at a certain level of yoga.
No, but that's the thing. Like what you said about the yoga thing, right? I've heard that from my friends also, where there's almost like this. They judge you the moment you walk in.
Yeah.
So the ones that some of my friends like to go to are the one where they don't really care what you wear, and there's no room or there's no air of superiority. Because I know the moment you wear brands like Lululemon means you're like, ooh, you're a hardcore yoga practitioner.
Lululemon.
Yeah, is it lemon or Lululemon?
Lululemon.
Oh, actually,
like,
that's why Lululemon with
Lululemon. Hello.
with a little accent on it.
IKEA.
Yeah, Lululemon.
Lululemon.
Yeah.
Shout out to the brand Lululemon. Okay, alright. So let's go further. How did you guys actually meet each other?
University.
University.
So he was 2 years my senior in university, and we met because we studied in the US at the University of Pennsylvania. So there was a Club Singapore, lah.
Okay.
So when I went in freshman year, I was thinking, I want to experience the US, but I also want to stay true to my roots. So I joined Club Singapore, lah.
You don't join Club Singapore.
Yeah, that's true.
Anybody who's Singaporean and is studying
Automatically.
Automatic. No, but you get some people who like go the other extreme. They don't want to hang out with Singaporeans. So I think it's not good if you go overseas and just stick to Singaporeans, because part of going abroad is to experience other cultures, talk to other people. But you get some people who just alienate themselves lah. So I would say maybe you go there, you're automatically in Club Singapore. But I volunteered to be part of the committee. So that's where I met Terrence, who was president of at the committee at that point in time.
Yeah, high point of my life.
After you guys graduated, you guys still kept in touch, and everything's the rest is history, I guess.
So he graduated 2 years before me, and he worked in New York. And so when I graduated, I had to come back to Singapore because I was bonded to the company that.
So we came back around the same time.
2009. Came back same time, 2009.
Okay.
Then I guess, how did it all start?
But you were working at Scoot before that? Or?
SIA and Scoot. So I was bonded to SIA for 4 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
SIA. Because they
sponsored my education.
Okay.
So
and I was just getting into the media industry and getting my feet wet a little bit.
You were already on Love Media, was it?
No. At that point, I was still working for a media company.
Okay.
But more on the.
Well, it wasn't your company.
I was later a partner lah, but I didn't start it lah. Yeah.
But even in uni, you were dabbling in media already.
Yeah. In uni, I bought a camera and was hoping to trick some young college boys and girls into acting into a short film, that kind of thing lah. But I procrastinated about it.
Ministry of Funny is not your first thing. There were probably other projects you do. When you started to do Ministry of Funny channel itself, you already know the do's and don'ts. You know what you should do and what you shouldn't do.
No, man. We were. I think in 2011, 2012, everyone on YouTube was sort of feeling, especially in Singapore.
Who were the hot ones?
Dikosh and Noah Yap.
Muna Hirzi were there also.
They were the OGs.
They were still doing content. Muna and Hirzi.
They started from way back. I think 2008 maybe. Dikosh was super early.
But this was a time when YouTube wasn't really monetizing stuff.
They were just using video for reach lah. They already had subscribers and all that.
And like your company, it wasn't a production house lah.
It wasn't. It was more like film distribution, production.
So when we started, I guess when we came back from uni, I just like watching comedy, but there wasn't everyone who doesn't like watching comedy lah. So 2009, 2010, we were just talking about it briefly. Then we would meet up. I remember talk about the dreams and all. Then nothing happened. Then like at a friend's wedding, we decided, okay, let's film something lah. And our other friends were there also. So then when we came together, we filmed it. Yeah, I
think there was in between. You went to Paris and then you did some videos.
Oh yeah.
And then I watched them. I was like,
hey, fuck you! At that time you told me it was damn good.
Yeah, I was telling you so that you can up your level lah.
The truth comes out in the podcast.
But that is true. I think that was one of the points. Yeah. So in 2011. Like the reason why I made those videos also, right, was because I just got dumped by this girl. So I was damn heartbroken. I wanted to show, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to go to Paris. I'm going to show I'm fucking happy. So that was what motivated me to make those videos. But then...
Were those videos ever published?
Yeah, they were on Facebook. Actually, they were vlogs, man.
Yeah,
I started fucking
vlogs,
vlogging in 2011, 2010-ish. So then
he was ahead of his time.
I was ahead of my time. And like I think one thing that we both always like to see nowadays is like there's a lot of people who can talk about doing videos, but actually doing it is one thing. So I think that was what opened Terrence's eyes to my talent. So we were already talking.
Saw the diamond in the rough.
Yeah, the diamond in the rough. Then talking. Then I guess that one night when we came together, you wrote a script for that video.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, you wrote a script. Then the 5 people who came together was him, our friend who did stand-up comedy in Penn. So he was like the funny guy. Terrence knew how to operate the camera. Another friend had directed plays, so he was director. My cousin had done stage performance, so he could act. I couldn't do anything. I just like comedy. Okay. So that's how I ended up in front of the camera. Because literally, like I had nothing else to contribute. But that's how it started. And from then, out of the 5, only 2 of us are still doing this full time. But I guess it started from just talking. We did it once. Then even then, after the next video after that was 2 or 3 months down the line. But at least having gone through once the process of thinking of an idea, writing, scripting, acting, and uploading, right? The next one was just, okay what else can we do? So it was 2-3 months, just as a hobby thing.
How many years has MOF existed?
As a channel, our first video was November 2011. But it was 2-3 months at a time. But full time, about 3 years, 10 months actually. Yeah, May will be 4 years. Yeah.
2014, right?
Yeah, 2014 May.
Yeah,
when I left my ex job, and then May 16th was boom, full time.
You don't have to mention this on the podcast if you don't want to, because like it comes to the point where it becomes tiresome. The whole process of making a video is very extensive. Brainstorming and then filming it, editing it. To make like one video, it just takes a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
And to me, that's why I wanted to do the podcast. It wasn't because I don't want to do videos. Videos is my specialty because that's what I've been studying. but I wanted something sustainable in a sense that it's easy to do. So to me, has it come to the point where mentally too draining, creativity-wise, you guys don't know what else to do, running out of ideas
every day?
So, no, in fact, I think this is something I want to talk about. Because there are so many times when I'm just sitting there like, what's our next video?
Because like there's your competitions as well, like NOC, Dkosh. Even in their Instagram stories, they have this constant meetups, like meetings, discussions on what to do for the next video. It's like in my mind, I'm like, wow, these guys are really trying to squeeze out as much ideas just to do the next episode.
It's
because
true.
Your thing is just gonna keep going on, what it's like it's your full-time job. The pressure of like trying to think of the next idea.
I guess it's one of those things that there is that mental fatigue. Sometimes you think, what's the next video we're gonna do? The last video we did shit. What the fuck? And how to maintain that lah. But what I have learned is that because one aspect that allows me to carry on doing this is trying to study what people I look up to do and their creative process. And one thing I learned is that there's no such thing as waiting for inspiration. You just have to create stuff, keep creating. And anyone who has created stuff that has gotten worldwide acclaim and all right, chances are they've created a bunch of shit also lah. So what I try and force myself, and what we also try and almost make it a process, is to constantly come up with ideas. Sometimes if it's an idea we're not really feeling, we just go ahead and do it. If it does shit, then we just move on to the next one lah. So I think understanding that it's not going to be that whole thing of like find a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life. I think it's fucking bullshit lah. I think it's too romantic an idea that we sell to young people, so that when you're actually doing stuff and you realize, shit, the stuff I don't like, immediately think maybe it's not my calling, which I don't think is true lah. Anything that is worth doing, there's going to be something about it you don't like. You just need to push through it lah.
That's true.
And video, because I started doing like film stuff, right? So video is quite new in the sense that, I mean, YouTube lah, was that it's more really a marathon, and like you got to just be comfortable with the fact that your life is just going to be about coming up with new ideas, looking at things and getting inspired, and then seeing how you can make it as a video. Whereas like when you talk about film and all that, a lot of times film students, students we talk to them it's like there's one big project that's gonna like go around the world, and all the festivals are gonna buy it, everyone's gonna love it, and I'm gonna go famous overnight. That kind of mentality it's a lot more pressure than knowing that, okay, I produce a video this week. If it gets a lot of views, great. If it doesn't, move on, just try something else. So that's a mentality that I think differentiates what YouTubers do or content creators do from what traditional film students or film people in the film industry or TV industry do lah. It's not so pegged to one particular project lah.
I see.
Yeah.
And as we progress in time, there's always new technology, new cameras. I see a lot of wedding videos. There's always a drone shot.
Oh yeah, now standard already.
Everybody's got it's a standard shot.
Standard,
Sometimes like some drone shots also, like to me, like it doesn't fit the video, but it's just there because it's a drone shot. It looks nice. If you guys need be, you guys rent, or you just make sure that you guys are up to date in terms of your equipments.
I mean, we love to play with new equipment.
Things.
So sometimes we get loans of like new technology like 360 cameras from Google, or create bullet time rigs and stuff like that. But more important to us is how does the technology help us make people laugh. That's something we believe very strongly in. Because actually, if you think about it, camera is also a piece of technology, right? And it's a way for us to create stuff for cheap and create funny content for cheap to make people laugh. So that's the ultimate thing we look at. Does this piece of technology, whatever it can do, is there a way to leverage it to create comedy? And we've done things like use wireless HDMI and stuff like that to create like real life kiss cams at Singapore bus stop, for example. So to me that's like I loved it because it was a way of like taking something very ordinary, like just people sitting at a bus stop, and then use technology in a way to like surprise them, make them smile, make them laugh, and people at home watching the video using this platform called YouTube that you can watch on your phone and everything. Everything, the technology is the medium through which we make people laugh.
Yeah, I would say like what you said about the drone shot just being there for the sake of being there, right? I think for wedding videos, in the crowd, if they see drone shot, immediately they're like, wow, so cool. But even when we got access to the equipment like the 360-degree video, right, there were people on YouTube who would just bring it somewhere, put it there, and just record. But for us, what we did try to do and what we do try and do with every new piece of equipment is think, okay, how can we make use of the unique feature of that and create something that is not something we can do with a normal camera.
I mean, don't say wedding video. Like now, every vlog that you watch on YouTube has a freaking drone shot or
Yeah.
time lapse.
Thanks to Casey Neistat.
Thanks to Casey Neistat. Everybody is like, oh my god.
The Logan Paul video, the intro, like wow, like movie scene like this. I got the drone shot.
Yeah,
Oh,
after
is
that,
it?
there's Suicide Forest.
Yeah, that's why Suicide Forest.
The drone shot
Yeah,
and
the
then
drone shot.
and then the dead body.
You don't appear on your channel that much, right? Rather than Harish usually.
Yeah,
appears
you're
more.
referring to me lah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Before doing the podcast, I thought Harish was the owner of Museum Funny because he's the forefront of the camera. Yeah, so I had no idea of your existence also. Until I asked him whether do you want to do a podcast, and he said, oh, but you should invite Terrence because Terrence is so. Why don't you appear more on your videos?
I have a face for being behind the camera. No, lah, but I mean, like coming from a more producing kind of background also. I mean, if the project calls for it, like we needed a Chinese person for the racist video. If the project calls for it, I think you should put yourself out there lah. But if there is someone better to work with in terms of a good actor, and I think we don't have a lack of Chinese actors in Singapore,
Yeah.
If that calls for it, we should try to get the best person we can for it. I try to look at even a YouTube video as like how a producer or director would look at a larger project. Is this person the right person for it? So a lot of times, if I need to be behind the camera or running the logistics or whatever, then that's what it calls for. And I don't believe that, especially for film, like you can't do everything yourself.
Yeah.
You got to work with people.
That's true.
So in the same way, like Haresh doesn't get super involved with a lot of the technicalities of cameras and stuff like that. And we just allow each other to do what we're good at. Like Haresh is loves to talk, loves to do crazy things in front of camera. So a lot of times, like when we were out there filming pranks or stunts on the street, my heart, even being behind the camera, I'm like scared shitless, like that something will go wrong or someone react a bad way. So he can do it quite comfortably because that's just something he does.
That's your charm lah.
Yeah, but if you try and get anyone else to do it, I think it's going to be different,
I think that's why we can work together also, because there are certain areas that we have drifted to or are more comfortable with. And the difference between our channel and a lot of other channels out there is, even though right now I'm the de facto face, it's also something that we are trying to guard against, because I guess how like younger people who are very comfortable sharing everything about their private life online. There are a lot of personality-driven YouTube channels that have the one personality front and center, and I think it works for them because they are very good at sharing everything about themselves. Whereas for us, I know I'm not the best at Instagramming everything, So what we're trying to build up is also more of like a brand that can create productions that don't just rely on one person. Which is why even our more recent videos, aside from the podcast, I don't feature as much, because now we're trying to do more writing and working on bigger scale projects. Because in the past also, when I'm taken away for other projects, then the channel kind of suffers, which is not something sustainable. Yeah, so trying to go beyond just the individual.
And the voice also, maintaining the same voice.
Yeah, correct.
Working with people who believe in that voice and want to help continue creating stuff for it. We collaborate with all types of people, not just actors or directors or filmmakers.
I see some SPW people.
Exactly.
Set builders.
Every day, those guys, you talk about creating comedy, right? Those guys use their body to tell a freaking story. And it's like,
it's fucking awesome.
It's very inspiring when you go there in person and watch them do that thing. And then you really feel like, I really want to do something with these
It's
guys.
a different art form, right?
It's entertainment in a different way. And like, as much as when it comes to production, he's behind camera, I'm in front of camera most of the time, the creative process right up to that is definitely a team effort. So it's not say like what I make the videos I want to make. We actually kind of have a somewhat democratic process where anyone can suggest ideas. So right up to the point of the production, we are basically working as a team. Then when it splits, when it goes to production, then maybe we get a little more focus on the different things. And that helps us maintain the voice. So anyone who joins us also, we make sure the voice does not get diluted.
Okay. So when doing stuff like fightings an Indian person would hate or fightings Chinese person would hate, are you guys afraid of like any point of time where treading borderline racism or whatever, backlash from people? Was there anything that happened from those type of videos?
I won't say we fear it. We know that there will be some.
Yeah, because it's so sensitive, right? We are living in such a very sensitive culture.
But that's where, as a content creator, it's very important you think very carefully about what you're putting
the risk
up.
involved.
Yeah, even down to like, let's say 5 things, whatever, that Indian person hates about being Indian or something like that. Even the order of the jokes matter, the setting the first joke setting the context and not being the big punchline. Then maybe the third or fourth joke, then you insert the punchline, and then the fifth one you reconcile everything back again. So if you don't think about those things, that you run a risk of like the moment your first joke offends everyone, and then they're not going to listen to you anymore. So you really got to think about even that kind of listicle video. You got to think of the story, like how are people's emotions as they watch your video.
Yeah, and I can give a specific example. The awkward situations only Indians understand, right? There was one joke where Terrence made fun of, his character made fun of Thaipusam, people who go for Thaipusam being able to walk on heat. So when I first edited it, it was upfront. But then he brought up a good point saying that one, if you just taken out of context, right, as the first video, it can be quite distasteful. But if you put it at the end and build up through more gradual jokes, then it works a lot better. So I would say, our process for coming up with concepts is, like, we do try and think of every angle to make sure that anything we put out, right, I can safely say my conscience and our conscience is clear. Any backlash that comes with that, to be honest, as long as I know that it's something we truly believe in and we have checked it from multiple angles to make sure we're not being hypocritical or bigoted, any backlash, I don't really care. So in fact, haters that comment on our video, I actually like reading hater comments. And when I see a comment that actually makes a logical argument, I do take the time to respond because I genuinely appreciate that. So that's why when people get backlash, I think right now it almost seems like anything you say there's a chance to offend anyone. So I don't want to have that dictate my creative interest.
There's noise and there's constructive feedback.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Everyone has their own opinions, which is totally fine. But if they don't like what we do, as long as we know what we're doing and we believe strongly in it, that's what's important.
And that's why it's important to work in a team also, so that you can bounce these ideas off people. Yeah. And sometimes sometimes even ourselves, we don't see why certain things we do or say might be offensive. But if we hear it from another perspective, like a lady or a minority or something, then you understand, and then you internalize it, and over time you just get a broader sense of how people might react to things.
So that's why even when we did the trilogy on Indians, Malays and Chinese, I'm Indian, so I could somewhat give a little more context. Okay, this is kosher, this is cool. He's Chinese and our other teammate was a Malay. So we made it a point to make sure that we're not kind of making jokes about things that we ourselves don't really understand.
You want them to relate to the video.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly the point you want to get across, right? Relatable.
And also the golden rule of comedy, which we try and abide by, is like punching up and not punching down. And by that, punching up meaning challenging like people in power with status rather than people who are in situations that they don't really have control over, because then you're just somewhat exploiting them. So especially when we make fun of race, the things we make fun of, we have to think very carefully about it.
I think we try to make fun of the people who are being racist rather than our jokes being racist.
And it helps if you guys make fun of yourself also, right? So it looks like, we are not like...
Self-deprecation is always a good tactic.
Why do you guys decide to move towards podcasts? Basically, doing podcasts is just another segment of your show, right?
I would say we're not moving towards, we are diversifying our content creation. Because one thing we have realized, like what you said about constantly creating, right? We started off this channel saying every week we need to put out a new video. And it was going well because back then, when we were doing on the street videos, there was a general demand for it. But people's consumption habits have changed. And our kind of ambitions also have changed. So now, by doing a video every week, it kind of stops you from working on bigger projects that need a lot more planning. So now that's what we are moving towards. Like, we just wrapped production for a web series that'll be 3 episodes of 10 minutes each, which is quite a sizable undertaking at this point for us. So by doing that and being able to focus, we were thinking, we're not going to be able to do a video every week. So what other forms of content have we wanted to create that we can now start to create? So that's one reason. The other reason is podcast in general. Like, I love having conversations with people about deep stuff, which I don't think happens enough now with even my friends. Because, especially when you meet in groups, and in Singapore you talk about, Jordan, now I'm at the age of my friends getting pregnant, making babies and all that.
Getting married.
So it always goes towards that. And I'm like, but I want to talk about, like, even last week I was in a group, I asked one question, then we had a debate, and some people were like, hey, can we not talk about this? And I'm like, what? Then what the fuck are you want to talk about?
What were you talking about?
Sexual harassment.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
What's wrong with talking about it?
Exactly. We were talking about the whole Eden Ang issue. So I was just talking with my friend, and we were in my friend's car, and the two people in front were like, hey, can we just talk about something else? I'm like, why? This is fucking interesting. And these are the kinds of things that need to be talked about.
Yeah, speaking of Eden Ang, I don't mind if you guys don't mind talking about it, I guess.
I'm okay to talk about it.
So okay. I guess, what are your opinions? Do you think he's guilty or not guilty?
I think definitely guilty. Yeah, it's just there's overwhelming evidence.
Guilty of what though?
Okay, that one instance when he apparently forced himself on that girl.
No, just like rape, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I know some people say that she didn't do herself any favors by going over, but and this arose from the discussion I had with my friend last week, which kind of changed my opinion also. Like, technically, people in relationships can also get raped by their partners if they don't give consent at that particular point of time. So, in that instance, I think, what he did was not right. The thing about texting, messaging, and all, that one, like what he did, I was surprised that he did that because it's almost like, wow, why are you sending messages like that? Whether those messages are guilty of anything.
Have you guys met him in person before?
Oh yeah, we worked with him. Yeah, we worked with him.
Oh, so you guys actually know him personally?
Yeah, he's appeared in our videos. I've appeared in his videos.
What about the vibes that he gives? And has he given you guys the?
I mean, I haven't gotten any texts from him. That sort lah. Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, my impression of him was always that he's a cool guy, smart, creative, ambitious, and
Very
quite
ambitious.
polite. Yeah.
Yeah, very ambitious.
So when that came out, I was surprised. I was like, what? Like when especially with those messages or screenshots, assuming they're all genuine,
Legit,
authentic, But now with him being silent, I assume they are, because I mean, unless they're not, and he's trying to figure out a way to debunk them. But
World's like Singapore's biggest prank in 2018.
yeah, that's why maybe this is the build up, and he's gonna be like, hey,
Gotcha.
Gotcha, stupid.
But yeah, so when I saw that, I was genuinely surprised because I haven't interacted with him that much to spend a lot of time with him in a given setting. It was always like if he's shooting a video, wants me to appear, I go there, appear, shoot, boom. I was surprised.
Broadly speaking, he seemed like a very capable, very driven young guy in the media industry. I mean, honestly, you don't meet that many this sort of hustlers in the industry, so it definitely leaves an impression when you meet them. So
Any other person having this sort of issue wouldn't have that much of an impact because they don't have this type of reach of fans who are looking up to them or subscribing to them.
But then again, I always remember, like my friend Fabian always says, he never judges his guy friends for what they do, in the bedroom or how they approach or talk to women and stuff like that. Because he feels like everybody has some strange quirk. Everybody has some, strange, or in what might be considered normal, but in another era might be considered a fetish or something. So who are we to say this guy is damn weird lah? He likes G-strings or he likes thongs and all that.
Yeah.
Like maybe in your bedroom or something there's some strange shit.
But I guess if someone likes thongs or likes even doing some weird shit like having sex with like soccer socks on or something, if
that's yours lah. That's your kryptonite.
Oh shit. No, like, exposed. But if the partner is consenting to it, then I see no issue lah. But I guess if he really fucking wants soccer socks, then she's like, or he is like, hey, take off the socks. Then he's like, no, I fucking want to wear boots also. And he just forces this shit. Then I feel it's a bit.
Yeah, the distressing thing I see, and then the pattern that I see in the messages is a bit like what Louis C.K., the comedian, was doing. There was a lot of like him saying that, I'm just going to take my dick out and masturbate in front of women. I'm not touching you. I'm not doing anything.
And I give them a heads up.
They didn't say no.
No pun intended, give them a heads up.
Yeah. So they didn't say no. So I'm just doing it. So it's nice. So what I see in the messages are that there's a lot of sexual innuendo that just keeps coming, gets more and more and more aggressive. And unless the girl outright says no or something like that, it just seems to be escalating towards something like that could be read as like potentially violent behavior.
The unfortunate thing is that there are victims involved, there are young girls, know, and all that. It's interesting to me on social media where you see the divide in people in the comment section. Who do they defend?
Yeah.
Partially there are some who's defending Eden. And then you see the other side. Oh, the girls also to be blamed because who asked you to go and text the guy, and stuff like that. To me, it's interesting to see the dynamics between the conflict between the comment section.
I mean, I think people are fair to support Eden.
Whoever, they have their own opinions.
Yeah, but if it's based just on his public persona being like a very gentlemanly, almost religious person, then I think, maybe that one they need to dig harder. But if they have valid reasons that they can justify why they support Eden, sure. But okay, so one thing that I was talking to my friend about was like the recent case where the girl kept on going back to the house, right? Yeah, I know people were saying, she called for it, she asked for it, but I mean, I think the dynamic is a big influence. Like people can be in a relationship, but if the power dynamic is not balanced, someone can be exploited, lah. But yeah, so I mean, one thing that just from talking to my female friends, they did point out that it makes women look powerless also lah. So I was trying to grapple with the fact of, okay, he's definitely guilty for forcing himself on her, but could that have been a bit, or maybe like a bit of a discussion about what else she could have done in that position lah? Because not to say that she is guilty of facilitating it and all, but I guess with that articles all being coming out, maybe it was a good position to kind of educate people what to do in a situation like that.
Yeah.
Whereas it was all just kind of focused on the not say one side of it, but the most clickbaity thing. Even the way they titled it was like they immediately took that quote. But I mean, I don't know. I'm still grappling with what she could have done because I've never been in a situation like that, thankfully. And I know people under emotional manipulation can be subject to do things lah. So I mean,
so has he uploaded anything since his whatever happened?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think he's radio silence.
He's quite quiet.
Yeah.
Given a chance, would you guys work with him again?
I think as much as I believe people deserve a second chance, they do need to regain my trust.
I mean, it affects your channel also, right? I mean, if he appears on your channel, people will be like, hey, why you put Eden Ang?
But that one also...
Because we've worked with people who, in the past had
controversial,
gone to jail or
it all
so
pros and cons.
I mean, they've done something wrong, they've paid their dues, and they come out publicly and say they learn whatever. Then I mean, let's not judge them based on that. It's a bit like a yellow ribbon
I mean, like
project,
Jack Neo used to be like shamed for like a particular thing. Now like he's doing like Abbas to Men 4.
Exactly. And I think like the perception of what people think of our channel, I try not to let it influence who we kind of work with because to me there's a lot of perceptions people can have of an individual. Some might be unjustified. In this case with Eden, I won't rule out working with him in future, but he needs to regain my trust lah. How that is done, I'm not sure.
I guess it's just resolving whatever police reports there might be now lah, like or some public
maybe
statement.
In time to come he could be innocent. Like,
could be.
I told you guys. I told you guys.
Prank of 2018.
Biggest prank.
But I guess like one big thing is radio silence now lah. So
no
one really knows what's true or what's not true. So until then, it's just like a bit of grey area.
I only found out through Dikosh because I religiously follow his Instagram. So he posts
religiously, really.
I mean, No, I mean like
he like worship
every day. In your room you got Dikosh picture.
I'm quite a big Dikosh fan lah. But he blue ticked me when I asked him to do the podcast. But it's okay. Maybe one day. I think combination of my approach to him wasn't very professional. So I think I just DM him or something, Facebook message. So my channel hasn't even like really launched.
But in this day and age, isn't that professional in itself?
Yeah. So what would be professional then? How do you reach out to us?
Combination of emails and
comment
DMs.
But DMs quite. I mean, to me, that's quite the common
the
way
most
now.
efficient way.
Exactly, most efficient. And some people don't like it when you call them or
but some people don't like it when you WhatsApp them.
There are some who don't like it when you WhatsApp them.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think most people are quite comfortable with DMs right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Slide into your DMs.
Slide into the
hopefully
DMs.
Dikosh will listen to this.
So, in terms of your podcast, how do you cherry pick your guests?
We were just talking about it before you came today in terms of, because right now there's more and more podcasts happening, but I would say what we're trying to do, because we've only done 6 so far, so we're like in our infant stages. But one of the reasons why we started a podcast is because like we were just looking at how there's a lack of important discussions that happens in the public sphere, and mainstream media is doing a shit job at it. And I personally have been invited on TV shows to talk about important issues which just scratched the surface and didn't do anything tangible. It fucking pissed me off. And then now you also see online in general in society, every issue is so polarizing, right? It's either us or it's either them. And when it feels like then it's us and them, then they all live in their own echo chambers and they vilify the other end. When I think there needs to be more discussions between the two polar opposites, but you don't see that happening. So when we first started, we were thinking, okay, let's get people in who, they're doing interesting stuff, but also maybe offer alternative opinions. And rather than just say, oh, you're a fucking idiot, kind of hear them out. And I think so far we have got only one guest who's somewhat controversial was the co-founders of High Blood, the dating app that got world famous last year for a post they did, which was a bit
racist.
not a bit, like definitely racist. So I don't think I answered your question, but basically people who offer alternative opinions, alternative thoughts, and maybe don't get enough time to clarify their opinions, because I think everyone's free to have an opinion, and if you don't agree with their opinion, you can't just say, oh, you're a fucking idiot. Just try and talk it out and understand where they are coming from as well.
How about yourself? How do you choose?
Oh, for me, basically, my target audience I know is Singaporeans. So to me, I'm not very interested to go beyond Singapore. So essentially, whoever in Singapore who has gotten a certain amount of success. So the people who follow me are a lot of young people, right? And each of them also want to achieve something in life. So I try to do podcasts with as many different people as possible: boxers, artists, musicians, stand-up comedians, actors, whoever. So and then I get them to share their craft, share their experience. So so if like for me, a listener aspires to be a comedian or aspires to be a boxer, aspires to be an actor, I'm hoping like at least I can provide them like a certain direction. That's why it's very important for me to the essence of my each podcast is for everyone to share a little bit about themselves and how they reach their level of success, some advice they would give to listeners.
I'm so glad that you think that we
are
reached that
successful.
level.
That's a
I wish my mother listened to this podcast and I felt the same.
I'm going to extract that out and send it to my mom via
Soundbite.
WhatsApp.
The soundbite. We're going to cut that out.
But
He interviewed us and he thinks I'm successful.
So essentially, the first 20 guests of my podcast is all born from Singapore. So, but I'm trying to be more open, I guess. You don't really have to be born in Singapore. Grew up in Singapore, achieve the success in Singapore.
Born in Singapore. It's like running for politics.
No, because essentially, there's always the case where people will be like, oh, you are from another country, so you come here, you got this type of privilege. Important thing is that the followers be able to relate fully. Oh, this person is born here, grew up the same place as where I am. So if he can reach that level of success, why can't I?
So people like Joseph Schooling would be
awesome.
awesome.
I DM him also, but he never see my DM.
Now everybody wants a piece of him.
Which is funny. Like everybody asks me, hey, how you approach all these people? It's just emails, basically. I try to at least I'll send an email and then I'll DM them saying, hey, I sent you an email. So that's usually my approach. So it looks a bit more professional, I guess. So as we ride off to the sunset with this podcast, what's your favorite episodes that we've done so far?
The podcast one?
No. Overall.
Videos.
Ministry of Funny.
Oh, Ministry of Funny.
Few come to mind.
I think for me, my favorite one is probably the one where you did with Uber or Grab.
Living in the Uber.
Living in Uber, where you spend like 24 hours
48,
or 48 hours. That was
it was all real.
Yeah, all real.
And to me, I like the traveling around the world because I really thought when I saw the video, I really thought you travel around the world. And then it turned out that the swerve. Like, it's actually just shot in Singapore.
I was going to say that is one of my favorite videos. One of my proudest videos. Maybe I'll say one, you say one.
I think that one, the traveling epic world trip video is my favorite because I think I told Haresh before that it's one of those things that will never exist in any other medium other than YouTube. It's not a film, it's not a short film, it's not a TV thing. It's a 5-minute just like a prank that we pull on people who watch videos on their phone who don't have the time to really just like stare at something very thoroughly and just enjoy it as like a short music video. And then after that, there's a twist that everything that you saw was not real. So it's so unique in its time and its space to me. Plus the fact that everything we did in there was almost practical effects. We made it a point that we're not going to use like green screens and all that kind of nonsense to and CGI, because there are people who do that very well, and we're not one of them lah. Whereas we're more of the like old school, what can we build or what can we use visual trickery to achieve and make people laugh at the end of it.
Like the director of Batman, who's
Christopher
Nolan. J.J. Abrams, all the Star Wars movies, all practical effects and make it's just as this very throwback to this very old school way of doing films and stuff like that I really enjoy it.
I don't know whether that's my favorite. Basically, I got a few favorites for a few different reasons. The first one is the uniform one, because the uniform pickup, even though we don't do pickup videos anymore, that was our first truly viral video, which changed the game for us. Then there's the spots in the city where I swam in the Takashimaya fountain. That was the first time we got like a lot of national attention. That was cool. Then
do you guys get into trouble for that? No, right?
No, because we did check the rules and the only sign that was on the fountain was this fountain is under 24-hour camera surveillance. They didn't say anything about you can't jump into it.
Yeah.
I mean, there is of course, there's a law that of public nuisance lah.
Yeah.
But that is if enough people complain about
Yeah.
you doing something. But I think that they only like 10 people
It
walking
just
past.
rained some more.
Yeah.
But
It was
just
like
so
nobody.
happened, one girl took a photo of me coming out, which was put on Storm and The Real Singapore, and then it turned into a xenophobic hate fest because we weren't that big then, so people didn't really know who this brown person is, and you get the comments saying, "Hey, this Indian piece of shit, go back lah, shower in our fountains," which was great because that got so much national attention that when the video finally came out, people realized like, oh shit. Then these newspaper and these websites all posted articles to kind of clarify, so that got us a lot of attention.
But that's it. I mean, nowadays, like we also don't want kids to be just running around doing things purely for attention.
To be savage.
Yeah, to be savage or to be like Logan Paul, you know. So I think that video in its time, it worked. But maybe today it might be seen differently. Yeah.
And then a few more to round off. Our video with Dikosh was like, I think our first scripted video that got a lot of positive reaction. Last year we did one video for the LGBT, which I think a lot of people were touched by, about asking straight people questions like the questions that gay people normally get. So those are the things that come to mind.
There's like five.
Yeah,
There's like five favorites.
Yeah. You said,
And you just
but
pick
you
one.
didn't say specific favorite, right?
Specific.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Hard to pick, one.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Yeah,
But
it's
your
like-
favorite
yeah.
of all time?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's just something about that you know, and we were parodying something about YouTube, you know, the whole like, oh, look at me, I'm traveling the world, I get paid to do this nonsense, and actually the budget was tiny, and
fucking tiny.
just going around Singapore, maybe we already bust our budget just like buying props and traveling around.
Yeah.
And so finally, where do you see yourself in 10 years' time? I guess.
Oh, the
Ministry of Money.
dream.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are progression is going up, right? I guess.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Essentially, what do you want to achieve? Are you guys want to be like the next MediaCorp or something?
Oh my god.
Or is that
Oh wait, I have to just swallow my
lunch just came out. No, but that's it. There are people in MediaCorp that are trying to
change the
system. So I wouldn't
those
just
dinosaurs.
I wouldn't blanket say that,
Yeah.
that's just a terrible thing or what. But you know, it's just sometimes the system itself is just makes it a bit harder lah.
Yeah.
Wow, 10 years is damn long. We've
Okay.
only been
Yeah,
doing this
so-
for like 5 years, so
Okay, 5 years.
But what's the dream? We always talk about a dream.
I mean the dream is I don't know. That's a tough one.
Okay, for me, it's the MOF being a place where we create, of course, YouTube content, because short form content will always have its place, but also producing longer form content like TV shows and movies, and who knows what might come up in the next 10 years. But also doing stuff in the physical realm, be it like a live event, which we have recently started going into, and even toys.
You guys
or like,
delayed this podcast because of some live events.
correct. Yeah. So like live events and toys and art installation. So basically like we use this word loosely, the comedy empire of some sort. Yeah, like a brand. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, but I always think when thinking about goals, I think of what Scott Adams, the Dilbert cartoonist, he writes about goals. He says that when you set a goal up for yourself in the long term, right, what you're doing is setting yourself up for failure all the way until then. So rather than think about goals, think about systems, like stuff that makes you like put a pair of running shoes next to your bed. So the moment you wake up, that's the one thing you have to do. As opposed to saying, I want to lose weight by the next year. From day one, you're already failing.
Sign up hot yoga. The system is sign up
That's
hot
right.
yoga.
but the point is that from day one, you're already failing. And that feeling only makes it harder and harder to get to that final goal. So to me, just being in the act of creating content and creating comedy that makes people laugh and think, that to me is like something I hope even in 10 years time to still be doing, whatever medium it is, and you know, like Haresh said, we also sort of get, you know, like Haresh has done a lot of acting in big productions and all that, and you know, that 10 years time maybe Hollywood, maybe alongside Dwayne Johnson, you know, that's possible, right? That's everyone's dream and all that, but in
Shout out
essence
to
it's
The Rock.
still creating content, still making people laugh, and still doing the same things, but maybe in a different scale and a different medium.
That's exactly what I want for my audience to understand. It's a very good piece of advice, you know, for the listeners. Right, thank you so much for having me in your office. It's a very sweet place.
Oh,
Sweet place you guys have. Yeah. And it's also nice to see my competition equipment here.
Podcast.
Podcast equipment. Yeah. So
thanks for coming down.
Yeah, thank
no
you.
problem. Thank you for being on my show, guys. Anything you guys want to say to your listeners, to your fans who happens to be my listeners?
2018 is going to be awesome. So just stay tuned. I know everyone's adjusting to some of our new content and all that, but it's going to be a kick-ass year.
And please show support to Farrakhan as well.
That's right.
That's your full name, lah.
No.
Yeah, because I mean, like, he got to respect his hustle, man. He's doing this outside of his
his 9 to 5 job, man.
After his 9 to 6 job.
9 to 6,
9 to 6 job.
With my 1 hour break.
With your 1 hour break, yeah. Because today is like 7 p.m. on a Thursday, and he came after work to do this.
Yeah.
So we appreciate that a lot.
Thanks, man. Thanks, guys. Thank you for being my show.
Thank you.
Thanks.